I'm here. And
Yeah, that's what you have
eventually
to do.
welcome to Behind the Slate, where I sit down with fellow voice actors and other industry artists to have a fireside chat. I'm your host, Christian O'Boyle. If you'd like to know more about me, please check out my website at christianoboyle.com. In this episode, I'll be talking with Joe Goffeney, a Michigan-based voice actor. He started his voiceover career in 2016, and since then, he's done voice work for video games, animations, commercial work, audiobooks, and more. Some of his notable clients include Disney, Spotify, Arch Bears, NetEase, and YouTubers Aphmau and Rye Guy Rocky. Recently, Joe was cast as a Heartsmith in the upcoming animation The Heartsmith, as well as Tide Singer in the upcoming Minecraft animated series Song of War. It's a great way because I feel that when people are supporting each other, they know each other truly. They're really going to be there saying, "Hey, this person is great for this. Let's submit them." Or just if you're having a bad day or I'm having a bad day or whatnot, you could be like, "Hey, let's talk. Let's get to know each other. Let's communicate."
Yeah.
But by having that support and really getting to know each other, you don't feel awkward, like reaching out to be like, "Hey, I know you're having a bad day. Let's talk about it."
That's so true. Yeah, I feel like the connection really changes when you actually have conversations. It goes from like workplace, like, hey, can you do this project? Oh, sure. Here are the lines. Thank you. And then you just, and then, hey, more lines. Thank you. It like changes the whole dynamic to like, hey, how's it going? You feeling, how was this week for you? And you become people instead of, and don't get me wrong. I love the dynamic of lines and projects and stuff. It adds a whole new layer, which that's so cool.
But one of the things I found is like when you get to know each other, hey, here's lines, but it's like, hey, how's it going? Oh yeah, things are good. Here's some lines. Oh yeah, thanks. Oh, that's totally great. Oh, that wasn't so good. But then you can start bantering and you can you can banter and make fun of each other because you're comfortable on that level. So it's just
comfortable.
It makes what was already decent or strong stronger. It just creates a bond. So that's a benefit. That's what I'm trying to create, and more just connect with people. I'm not trying to build a community. I'm not trying to build a following or anything like that.
No. I get you. It's an admirable goal too.
Yeah.
Wise words. That's good.
And then I literally throw it on YouTube because maybe we trade some inspirational things that other people might find intriguing, useful, things like that. So
yeah, I know plenty of people love to watch these sort of, a lot of the times people go on YouTube and search like, oh, how to become a voice actor, but they'll find just things like this where it's not really like instructional. I feel like the instructional, it's a whole new dynamic. It's like instructional versus chill, I guess. I'm not really sure how to word it, but these are the types of videos that people learn the most from, instead of just direct, here's how to do this and that and that. If it's real, it's more relatable.
Yeah, it's more relatable. And also, if you think about it, like there is the introduction of like, here's how you get started. Great. There's hundreds of those. Don't need any more.
Absolutely.
However, my experience and your experience of how to get started is completely different. I got into acting, you got into acting for different reasons. I can guarantee that.
Yes.
And then how you develop to where you are is different. So maybe what you did may only work for you or may only work for me, but maybe it also works for someone else who's listening and they go, oh, let me try that. And then maybe that works for me.
Yeah.
So again, it's just one of those things. So like, I see how they did that, or I see how their insight, their knowledge, or their sights, their perspective. That's a word I'm looking for. Their perspective provides, because I think Brody was saying, he goes, we could take the same class. We could take 6 classes identically together. He goes, I can guarantee you will walk away with different knowledge than I do. And
for sure.
again, it's different perspective, it's different learning, connecting, things like that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so true. And I feel like even though everybody's background or perspective is different, if they can even, yeah, exactly what you said, if they can pick up one thing from this
Mhm.
that can help them, then it's all worth it.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
the community is great. People have different experiences, different emotions, different personalities, and things like that. So it's no matter what, even if you're dealing with the same stuff or you're dealing with the same thing, but each
Yeah,
person is going to approach it differently. And Tony and I were talking. Tony Weiss and I have a very similar vocal pattern.
okay,
Our voices tonality are similar. Obviously
sure.
they're different, but his vocal range is about my vocal range. Obviously we
Yeah,
sound differently, but we have the same range.
sure.
However, he might get cast or I might get cast as something because, and even if we sounded identically the same, it will never sound the same because of the different experiences. So he approaches a script completely different than I'm ever going to approach a script because of how
Yeah,
we
yeah.
experience life. Your past
Mhm.
history develops your acting.
That's yeah, yep. And that's true in every aspect of it. Like that's why I don't like it when I was actually talking a little bit about this on my Discord server today, and I wasn't even intending, I wasn't even preparing for this interview or anything, but
Yeah.
it was just sort of like I've had this thought, and people who are on CCC, especially newer actors, they tend to get ready to audition for a project, and I was guilty of this when I first started.
Mhm.
You listen to another audition,
Mhm.
and you're like, wow, that person was really good. And there's usually one or the
Yeah.
two mistakes that you can make is they were so good, I'm not going to audition. That's a whole nother topic. But
Yeah.
sometimes they'll be like, oh, they took this route, I should
Mhm.
probably do the same.
Mhm.
It's like, no,
No, you
no,
don't.
do your own thing. Like
Yeah.
the director wants to hear your take on the character,
They
not
want to
that
hear
person's
you.
take.
They want
They
to
want to hear
hear
you, yeah,
you. Yeah.
not that person twice.
Yeah.
you know so yeah, it's that's the amazing part about the community, is that every person is completely different and brings a
Mhm.
whole new set of skills to the table, even if you have a similar range or
Mhm.
type of character you like to portray or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So
And you did ask that question, and that was one of the things that I
yeah.
was like, one of the things that I don't like. I mean, I like finding a lot of casting calls and a lot of stuff, mostly from Discord, because you get stuff from
Mm,
CCC, Twitter, um,
voice acting club,
Voice Acting Club. I
sometimes,
mean,
yeah.
just you get everything because people are sharing communities, Reddit, and
And they're
stuff.
sharing, like that's the coolest part.
Yeah,
They're not like finding a project and they're like, oh, this
you're
is,
not
I'm gonna
keeping it.
audition, and yeah, you're not keeping to yourself.
Yeah.
So
And then another thing is CCC, like I said, is one of my favorite sites just because of how organized you can submit
yeah.
from the sites.
Hmm.
But like you're saying, and it was one I think something I brought up is the disadvantage of being able to listen to
Yeah,
because what I do, and I rarely will listen to the other auditions. I'll audition, send it in,
sure.
and then I might scroll through and I'll
Yes.
find the most upvotes just to see,
Hmm.
hey, what does this guy sound like? If he's got a
Yeah.
lot of upvotes, I'm sure he's great. And you listen to it and you go, what?
Yeah. Is that
How?
right?
How do you have 20 upvotes?
Yeah. Yeah. Like 20. That's actually like a dead giveaway as to, I don't know. I brought this up to Buford too. We used to have bot problems, and I'm like, I hate to jump to that conclusion, but it's like, what?
Yeah.
That's the
Or
other
they just
thing.
have
You
all
can't
their
go by
friends.
them.
They'll be like, hey, upvote here, share, share, share.
Yes, exactly,
I'm like,
exactly. That's probably the more realistic,
yeah.
yeah, idea. And it discourages new voice actors,
Mhm.
which is the upvote system is another thing we could talk about. I mean, we could spend a whole video just talking about the voiceover websites and even
Yeah.
CCC. We could talk all about CCC
Yeah.
and
Or all
the
the other.
upvote system. Yeah, exactly. Like it's I know people who get discouraged when
Mhm.
because I used to teach. I taught a couple classes for Casting Call Club, and
Mhm.
some of the students were, they were like, I'm auditioning a lot, but I'm not getting any upvotes. Like, they didn't even mention getting cast. They weren't saying I'm not getting cast. They were talking about the upvotes.
Oh.
And to me, that was like, really? Like, why are you discouraged? But, you know, like, it's kind of sad that's what they're looking for. That and sadly, they think that recognition is something that you need
Right.
to succeed. And I mean, most of the things I've been cast for on CCC, I never got an upvote. You know what I mean?
Or
Upvotes,
like two.
directors, yeah, right, yeah, one or two. You know, and sure, every once in a while, you know, the person who has the most will win it. But I mean, like, maybe 10 to 25% of the time, the person with the most upvotes gets it.
Yeah.
It does not. The director
It's
is not
very
looking for
rare.
that.
Yeah.
It is rare.
And the thing is, if a director is casting you because you have the most upvotes,
Oh, then they're not
honestly,
worth
you don't
working
want to
for.
be in part of that project anyway, just because
No.
they're casting you based on, they're casting you based on popularity.
Yeah, like public opinion.
An
Popularity is a good word.
influencer. Yeah, it's just that
Yeah.
it's not going to work out well. The project may be good, but majority of the time it probably won't.
Right. Or it's an unpleasant experience to
Yeah.
go through it in the first place.
Yeah.
Which yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So
I think Casting Call Club, yeah, it has its ups and downs, but
yeah.
anyway.
So what got you into acting?
Well, it's kind of not a long story, but there's not much of a story, I guess. I did theater throughout high school,
Mhm.
and then eventually I made friends with this person. This was 3 years ago, something like that. And we were like, hey, we should do this like mini dub of this project. And I had never even heard really of voiceover or anything, but we
Mhm.
realized we needed voice actors. So we went looking around and someone recommended us Casting Call Club. And I mean, before we found Casting Call Club, we were like emailing people because we had no idea. Like, we were like, hey, we didn't even know there were voice actors on the internet. We were emailing like small time YouTubers and stuff. It's kind of embarrassing. But when we found CCC, it was like, oh my gosh, like this is actually, you know, this is perfect.
Right.
So we posted the project, you know, and we got auditions, which was cool. And we started the project, but I sort of thought about it more and realized I have a mic and I could theoretically audition, right? You know,
Yeah.
and I auditioned and I started with just this, a blue snowball. And it wasn't great. The sound quality wasn't great, but I had fun doing it.
Mhm.
And I was still getting cast for some small time stuff. And so I thought, I want to do this as like a hobby. So I ended up buying a new mic, getting some you know, an interface and getting all that set up and finding a new room to record in that wasn't all echoey, figuring out that stuff even.
Yeah.
And luckily, like you mentioned earlier about the local community, I actually have people in my hometown who are voice actors.
Mhm.
And so they meet up like once a month. And I started getting involved with them and they started giving me advice. And I was really lucky in that regard. But I was more lucky to find the online community
Mhm.
and start connecting with them.
Mhm.
And it started with, you know, the fan dubs and the comic dubs. And then eventually I started auditioning for the video games and the visual novels.
Mhm.
Started finding other websites other than CCC.
Mhm.
And that's basically it.
Yeah.
I started making videos on my channel and yeah, that's kind of the story. So Casting Call is actually what got me started. So.
Yeah. So in terms of making specific videos for your channel, I know that you're doing comic dubs for Tower of God and Rebirth.
Yes.
Kind of what got you into creating these dubs?
So yeah, they're like, it's pretty interesting because I sort of wanted to create my own version of content that related to voiceover.
Mhm.
And, you know, the first thing that came to mind was the small time minute, you know, a couple minute dubs. And those didn't appeal to me as much just
Mhm.
because there wasn't usually they took from something else.
Mhm.
You know, you see like the Undertale dubs and stuff. I didn't want to, you know, copy something else or, you know, oh, try to go along with this previous dub and copy these voices. I wanted to sort of create my own thing and sort of start something new.
Mhm.
And I had a friend, I have a friend, Ruka Samuels.
Yeah.
She's a great friend of mine. And she started getting me involved in these Webtoon dubs, and I started making other friends who were doing these Webtoon dubs. And I went to the website and just started looking around. I was like, can I do one of my own? And I found Tower of God. It was top in fantasy, and it was like top 3, I think, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to give it a read with the intent of possibly dubbing it, and I just got hooked. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. So then I went to YouTube praying that there wasn't some big channel that already dubbed it, and there wasn't, not a single person. So I was, okay, this is great. So, it started with just me asking a couple of my friends who I'd been in projects with, hey, you want to voice this character?
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly how it got started. And then just recently, I had the idea of taking on a second dub,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how Rebirth got started too. And it's cool because the author even watches our videos and stuff. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The coolest part about the dubs on our channel, so Tower of God and Rebirth, is we went from this group who were having fun and making these episodes and creating this story, or helping bring to life this story that was already created, to a pool of voice actors. I think in the Tower of God dub, we have, I think, almost 80 people, which is insane. I don't know how that happened. It just kind of happened. But, and it's the same thing. Like this, our own Discord server is kind of like a mini voice acting hub where people share projects and talk about voiceover. It went from just Tower of God specifically to friends just having fun with voiceover and sharing their own experiences and sharing projects and having fun.
Yeah.
And it was pretty amazing to see. So that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love having the community of the Discord. I'm not one to be able to interact with it most of the time, because by the time by the time I open it up, they're already mid conversation, or I've already passed everything.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's why I interacted today, is oh, he just posted this. I can actually post something and be useful and actually communicate.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, it's the same for me. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so great having this community for people to talk, banter, share random things, and share their work, share their inspirations, ask for help. People are so willing to help.
They are.
What is it like working with other voice actors, especially in the directing side of it?
It's so, well, first of all, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's kind of like this, getting to, especially when we do the live sessions, getting to connect with them and become more than just, colleagues, I guess is the only word I can think of. We sort of learn more about each other and our strengths and our weaknesses. But more than just, the fun part, well, I guess I was already talking about that a little bit. It's educational. I feel like for both of us, I've learned a lot, even about being an actor, from directing. It doesn't, this extends to not even live directing, but sending back revisions or even scripting. I'm learning where where the directors are coming from when they're scripting an episode, or when they're adding what kind of emotion you want to use, or even just the way that they word sentences. It's weird. It's weird in a good way, though. It's very interesting. So yeah, it's been educational, certainly interesting, certainly so much fun, and I want to do more of it. I wish more people made live recording and made live recording a priority, and took directing more seriously, I guess. I feel like there's some directors who just, throw the scripts out there, but it's a perfect opportunity to connect with your cast.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, earlier you're talking about how initially when you started, you had a snowball, and then you have upgraded your system. What is something would you recommend that someone upgrades their microphone first, or their space? If you had the budget, would you do your space or your microphone?
I love this question because I'm actually pretty passionate about this. Always number one is your space. That's no matter what. Because even if I stuck with the blue snowball, the problem, I figured out quickly, the problem really wasn't the snowball itself. Now, there are certainly many better mics than the snowball, but it was my big open room that I was recording in. there was background noise from my computer, there was noises outside, there was echo and reverb and all this stuff. And if I had, theoretically, you take a snowball and you just condense everything to just this little space, that's going to sound better than if you have, a Newman and you record in a gymnasium. Like that's sort of how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather have a tiny space and a decent mic than an amazing mic in a decent space. You know what I mean?
Is it a smaller space or is it a treated space? Because the smaller
that's the better
would
word.
Sound like a box.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for catching me on that. That's true.
Yeah, but yeah, I definitely think that the treatment of your space, because someone can get away with a snowball or a Yeti in a treated space.
Certainly.
And honestly, that could be your good go-to mic for a while. I wouldn't recommend sticking on that if you're planning on pursuing it a little bit further. Obviously, don't invest into a Sennheiser or a Neumann like 416 or a Neumann TLM 103 or a Sennheiser 416, which are like professional if you're planning on going professional, but at least like an 2020, 2035. Things like that. But definitely the space is where I find. And the thing is, I'm in a little blanket booth with PVC pipes.
Okay.
This thing cost me $50, $60 to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
Much, much cheaper than a mic.
Definitely.
It's cheaper than a snowball, I think. Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. Or like the same. Yeah, I think it's like the same.
Yeah.
So that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Sure.
I just did a project. I was super, super hyped for it to drop. Super, super excited for it to release. And the very, very first scene was the actor who did not have a treated space. And it was sad.
Okay. Yeah.
It was very sad. I was pumped for the quality of the project, and that first line, I was like, yeah. So definitely a treated space if you're planning on doing paid. I would even say paid voiceover. If you're doing free voiceover, sure, you might be able to get away with an untreated space. You're not being paid for your services. But as soon as you start auditioning for paid work, in my opinion, you better have a good treated space.
That's certainly number one. First of all, let me say, I love the pronunciation of Neumann. My whole voiceover career, I've called it Newman, and I still got to get that in my head. But no, definitely. I get people sometimes who reach out to me, and they want to try out for Tower of God, and sometimes they have a great microphone, but I want to cast them like so badly, but I try to work with them and, hey, can you try to get into a smaller space and then hang up some blankets and this and that and this and that.
Literally take your blanket off your bed and put it over your head.
Yeah, that's honestly what a lot of people do, and people who are on the go too, and they're like traveling. That's what they do too. I know a full-time voiceover guy, and he says sometimes if he's like in a time crunch, he'll record with his phone. Like I don't know what kind of phone he has, but he'll like blanket. He'll be in his car, blanket over his head, boom, and like that's his temporary setup.
Yeah, but yeah, no, definitely. Even a blanket. Anyone has a blanket. Anyone has a comforter.
Yeah.
Throw that.
No excuses. No excuses.
Yeah, no excuses. I don't have the money. You have a blanket right there. Throw it over your head. It's going to be claustrophobic. You're not going to like it.
Get over it.
Your audio quality will benefit it tremendously, which means your project that you're voicing for is going to be of a higher quality, a higher caliber, because
and that's the thing too. Like I like that example that you brought up with the person right at the beginning. Like, even if there are 9 out of 10 actors with stunning quality and they're the best actors ever, it just takes one actor with an untreated space to leave a bad taste,
to bring it down a level severely.
Right. And you can still enjoy the rest of it, but that moment sticks out.
A lot. And because I'm getting to the point where projects that I put on my resume
Sure.
are quality all the way around. Because I recently was talking to a casting director on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very important if you want to talk
Yeah.
to e-learning, explainer, commercial directors. I would
Mhm.
recommend LinkedIn. I'm still learning it, but that
Me
is
too.
where you want to be. So I'm talking to him and he goes, "Hey, I love your demos. They are so immersive and so great. Do you have some projects that you have done in the past that you can share?"
Mhm.
I went through my projects and I went, "Nope, nope, nope, maybe, nope."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was embarrassed. I sent him one project
Mm.
that I was going, this will work. And I sent him another one that was a video game that I voiced in, but it was just to the Steam link. It wasn't
Yeah.
to a video or anything. I said, this is another project I voiced in. And I said, take a look at my YouTube series. That's all I had to share. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's that's not good. That's sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's everybody has their own, it's all a process.
Yeah.
So I remember too when I first started, I started making my because I went through a similar not talking to somebody, but when I was making my voiceover website for the first time,
Hmm.
I want to say 2 years ago, I was like, okay, time to add my resume section where I add all my roles and stuff. And then I realized I started going through my projects and I was like, there's only like one or two that I want to put on here,
Right.
and I enjoyed doing these other projects.
Mhm.
I just wasn't completely 100% proud of them,
Yeah.
you know?
You didn't want
And
to share
that's sort of what woke me up. Like, wow, it's really, well, first of all, it's just really hard to come by these projects.
it. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I don't know.
Well,
That's, yeah.
I was looking at your resume, and you have a very, very strong, good-looking
Thank you.
resume. And one that stood out to me was Disney. So you worked on a project with Disney. How did you come across the project?
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it was a company that was working for Disney that reached out to me, and the final project went up on Disney's page.
Yeah.
So it was a group called Young Storytellers, and they were sort of advertising for the upcoming Disney movie A Wrinkle in Time.
Mhm.
And Young Storytellers is a group. I'm not entirely sure what their specific goal is, but they basically help inspire kids to use their imagination and create stories, and
Mhm.
it's really admirable what they do. So they brought together, I want to say 5 or 6 kids to see the movie early, and then they got inspired and they asked them to create their own stories.
Mhm.
It was like I don't know, maybe a week-long thing. And one of the kids created this story about a guy named Ethan, a kid named Ethan, and his journey to space, and how he found a planet and fought this monster and stuff. And essentially, then they would take this kid's idea and then bring it to voice actors and animators to bring it to life.
Right.
So I was able to basically be the narrator for every character, and I was like the speaking voice of the narrator, and also, all the specific characters
Yeah.
for this kid's story. And then they showed the kids the final story, and they all, it's really cool. It was really cool. And then they posted it on the website. So
Yeah.
that was, I want to say, a year and a half ago, something like that. But
That's amazing.
yeah, it was the coolest part was when they responded back saying, I'm trying to remember the kid's name. I think it was Brian. They were saying Brian loved it. He got to see his story come to life,
Yeah.
and he was all smiles, and it was like,
Yeah.
wow, I cannot believe I just did that. Like, wow. So that was that. Yeah,
That's
it's called
amazing.
me.
And I love how as voice actors and animators and everything that we can help be a part of a project that, say, a writer
Yeah,
created. And yeah, writing on paper can be just a great format, be a book style and stuff, which is
certainly.
great. However, then adding sound effects, uh, voice actors, even animation, or at least some sort of video even,
Yeah.
creates a new immersion, a new level of intrigue, which I love being a part of. And I think at the moment, a lot of people don't give voice actors enough recognition. They kind of put us on the bottom tier, and it's like we're just the same. We're helping create your project the same as
Yeah.
everyone else. Yeah, maybe our stuff is easier to, not easier, but our stuff is
Yeah.
quicker to produce, but doesn't mean that we're lesser than, say, the audio mixer or audio engineer, because everyone, a good voice actor, a good engineer, a good animator, and a good writer creates a good project.
Yeah.
Any of those have a chip in it, and that project could flop.
Yeah. They're all like links,
Yeah.
the weakest link. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's so true.
I definitely think that the recognition that some people mistreat any form
Yeah.
of art or any form of voice actor or just artists in general, just to go, well, I'm only gonna, I don't know, pay you $5 and I'm gonna pay them 100. Why? Yeah, they are doing more work in terms of time, but why are you treating us less
Yeah.
than everyone else? So
Yep. Yep. I see that a lot on Casting Call Club, for example. I
mhm.
mean, we were talking for a while. Casting Call Club sort of has all these amazing things, but it's also unfortunately where, I don't know, bottom of the barrel projects are land, and
Yeah,
putting the price tag, or putting the paid tag on it or in the title, and you go there like, oh, paid project, okay, and then you go through, oh, this role isn't paid, oh, this role isn't paid, and then at the very bottom, animator,
yeah.
$500
Or 20
or
$20.
20, right? Yeah, that's more likely.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, that's a lot of people have that mindset where they assume that voice actors, or they'll message you and say, well, you're gonna get recognition. It's like, what?
Recognition doesn't pay the bills if
Right.
a voice actor is actually doing this either as a side time job or a
Yeah.
full time job. But nonetheless, even an aspiring amateur voice actor still
Yeah.
has gear and coaching to pay for.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's, there's nothing wrong with free fan projects,
Yeah,
right? Or if you come out there and say, this isn't paid, we're just having fun.
yeah,
But if you're
a
coming
passion
in there
project.
and paying people and then intentionally saying you're not as important,
Yeah,
that's pretty much what they're doing. They're I don't know what the right word would be, not dehumanizing, but sort of belittling
yeah,
the value that voice actors bring to a project. And in turn, that sort of makes new voice actors assume, oh, I guess, they sort of think that that's normal or that that's okay. And it creates this unhealthy environment
yeah.
where,
And
yeah,
obviously, if a voice actor is starting doing free non-paid projects, totally fine. If it's a
oh
passion
yeah,
and so the project's not making any money anyway, but it's just for the
hmm,
fun of it, sure, that's
yeah,
fine. I'm still doing projects that are not paid
yeah,
because I
yeah,
enjoy it. I'm doing it for friends. I voiced Sachi in Tower of God, that one
hmm,
special,
yeah,
but that was because I was like, I want to work with Joe. I'm very
yeah,
excited. So I was totally fine being non-paid because it's a passion project. But it's when people are, like you said, when they're paying other people, but not you or not the
hmm,
other people.
right,
Why? Why? Or
yeah,
I've even seen they'll pay their leads and extras
hmm,
non-paid. And it's like at, at least $5. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
sure,
Like, how hard can it be?
yeah, $5 obviously is not much to work with. But if you only have, say, I don't know, 10 lines, Sure. That what is that? That equals to 20 cents per word,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is actually very good rates for.
yeah, that's true. That's true. It's yeah, it just belittles. It goes back to the whole belittling thing, but I do see that a lot, and that's why Tower of God and Rebirth. I was gonna say that, so I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Two examples of passion projects, or Ruka Samuels' is My Dear Cold-Blooded King,
Mhm.
or Lumine. These are just they're projects that, like you said, number one, they're not getting money. They're not getting paid to do this.
Right.
Uploading to YouTube. They're not monetizing the videos and making money.
Mhm.
And two, they're doing it for fun, and they want to reach out to their friends or potential friends,
Yeah.
and say, hey, you want to be a part of this?
Yeah.
And that's the best part. It's like, hey, Christian, so I heard your stuff. Want to hop on board? It's very, very cool to see, but there has to be a distinction between the two,
Yeah.
and I feel like that line is fading. It fades away a little
It
too
does.
often
It does.
nowadays.
Yeah. No. And I was always like, how can I talk to Joe? How do I reach out to him? And you actually
Yeah.
sent me the message like, okay, that works.
I'll take it.
I'll take that.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
But yeah,
I'm
that's,
glad.
yeah, that was one of those things to where it's like you were around when I hopped in
Okay.
into Twitter, into the community. So
Yeah.
you already were established. You were one of those voice actors like Dr. Bonehead. All right, he's got Jimmy Sherwood. Oh, Alex
Yeah.
Brody.
Yeah.
It's just like so many people that were like there, and I'm like, hi,
Yeah.
I'm I'm here.
Right. 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 That's super neat, and I love seeing the new voice actors coming
Mhm.
in. I feel like every single day there's new voice talents that are just getting started,
Yeah,
and the best part about our community, like by our, like the voiceover community on
yeah,
Twitter and Discord and all, they're they're so accepting of new talents. You mentioned earlier,
yeah.
so many people willing to help. I
Mhm.
mean, there's so many Discord servers and so many people on Twitter who will, I mean, the kindest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
Like the person that comes to mind is like Bell
I was,
Sugar.
I was just gonna say Bell. He
I mean,
shares every casting call he gets.
yeah, right, and he does it because he's genuine. Like he's
Yeah.
just the nicest guy, and he wants to help you.
Hmm.
And there's so many people like him everywhere in this community,
Yeah.
and that's like the most heartwarming part, is
It
that
is.
it just grows and grows and grows, but it doesn't feel like it's too big. It
Yeah.
still feels tight knit, and I love it. It's so
And
cool.
the thing is, a lot of people use the word family, and I was like,
Yeah.
I would definitely feel that this is a community on a family level. There are some people who could say that the community is stronger than their family.
Hmm.
My heart breaks when someone says that.
Yeah.
But uh, Lo-Fi, when he got sick,
Mm.
he woke
Yeah.
up and yeah, everyone was
That
supporting
was
him. Everyone was praying for him.
amazing.
Everyone, yeah,
Yeah,
that would be terrifying.
absolutely.
But
I Yeah, but like you could see he slowly gave more and more updates, and you could tell that even despite his how sick he was, he was happy,
mhm,
you know, and his happiness grew, and his happiness didn't grow just because he was getting better.
right,
It was because of the friends he was making, and the friends that he had made who were supporting him, and his family coming together for him.
yeah,
And I knew who he was beforehand, but
mm,
I hadn't really interacted with him at all.
right.
I just seen him around a couple times on Twitter,
Me as well.
and yeah. But then seeing the community come together, it was like I instantly was like, oh yeah, he's a part of the family. Support him.
Yep, yep,
Doesn't matter if I don't know him. Doesn't matter if we've never talked. Just
yep,
we're family.
yeah.
Wow, that's powerful.
It is.
I wow.
And I think a lot of people who are thinking about voice acting, don't be afraid. Just hop in
Hmm.
Twitter, as what I'm sure Joe and I would both recommend, Discord as
Hmm.
well, and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And when you introduce yourself, don't stop. Because I see a lot of people, they start their accounts and they're really serious, or maybe they seem serious and they
Yeah.
want to get going, but then they don't interact, or
Yeah.
they don't really make themselves known or heard. And
Yeah.
though we are a very supporting community, it is a big community, and
Yeah.
unfortunately you will be not heard if you don't make yourself known. Like people's
Yeah.
stuff, retweet stuff, comment on stuff, make sure you're known, follow people,
Yeah.
because when you follow people, I would say 70% of the time, I can't say 100% of the time, 70% of the time someone's going to follow you back
Oh yeah.
because
Definitely.
they're interested, and you start building a connection and building slowly and going. And one of the things when I started is I was like, all right, here we go, and I hit the ground running. And I tried making myself known, and I
Yeah.
tried banging pots and being like, I'm here. And
Yeah. That's what you have to
eventually,
do.
yeah, and then people eventually started responding, and the community started going, oh yeah, that's Christian. And I was like, what?
It just one day it just clicked. Like,
It
oh
did.
yeah,
It did.
Christian's in the family.
I joined. I never had done a Discord live chat, and so
Yeah.
I popped in one of those. I had free time. I popped in, and someone's like, "Oh yeah, that's Christian," and they started talking, and I was like,
Yeah.
"What?" Like, I communicated with them
That's so
maybe
cool.
once, or like followed them,
Yeah.
but that was about
Yeah.
it. And I was like, "Wow, okay, this is really cool."
Yeah, that means a lot to people. Even
Yeah,
like the smallest connections, it means more than you think. I
yeah,
mean, sometimes it's just being in the same project as the person. And yeah, maybe you don't even ever talk, not
yep.
a single time, but you still know each other, and it just takes that one person and or that one group
Or
to
that one comment.
the
Uh,
one comment. Yeah.
because speaking of which, um, Tunnelberg,
Mhm.
Josh Waters, he's
Yeah.
rebranding to Josh Waters, Joshua Waters.
Oh, I did not know
Um, and so he posted on Twitter, I'm looking for someone who can design a website. And I
that.
said,
Mhm.
I can do it. And we started talking. He goes, hey, a couple other people were talking, but we started talking. And I said, hey, I did one for Tony Weiss. I did one for Alex Brody, and I'm working on a couple others. So here's what I have currently. And he goes, that sounds great. He goes, I've seen you around. I've never actually like interacted with
Yeah.
you, but he goes, this is really cool. And so we started talking. And then uh Kiss from Shadows uh also messaged me. So Min messaged me, and he's
Yeah.
rebranding as well to Min Ton. Uh
Okay.
so he goes, hey, I'm also looking for a website. And so we started talking. And so actually I just designed both uh
Really?
Joshua's and Min's website.
Wow.
Joshua's is basically complete. He just has to throw it up and
Yeah.
attach his domain. Min's is 90%, 95% done.
That's so cool. It's literally this voiceover in general, especially online voiceover, it's all connections
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to realize when I first started, I just thought it was this open, like, the first time I recognized someone in in my second project or third project, I was
Yeah.
like, what a coincidence.
What?
And then, yeah, like, how is this possible? You know, there's like thousands of people on this website. But then I realized, wait, this is like a spider web of people.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like a pool of never any. This is literally just like a bowl, or
Yeah.
and yeah, it's all about connections. You're gonna start to realize it's the same people going back and forth, and you're gonna meet this person and this person. This person knows this person, or a website or demos. This person did this demo for this person.
Yep.
Every single person is connected to everybody.
Yep.
Which, and that's, I like what you said too about like banging the pots, because just auditioning isn't really enough.
No.
It's because you could send in the lines and then you're done with the project. You're never going to get to know anybody. You have to bang those pots, talk to the directors, talk to your fellow cast members,
Yep.
establish some sort of relationship with them,
Mm-hmm.
so that they recommend you and talk to their friends about you, or every little thing adds up, and
Or they
Yeah.
say, hey, I really liked you for doing this one character.
Yeah.
You want to
Right.
reprise that role? Or I
Absolutely.
have another
Yes.
role for you, or I'm starting a new project and I would love for you to audition for it.
Yes.
You
Yes.
start connecting with your directors, specifically your directors, and obviously your fellow cast,
Yeah.
because you never know when they're going to start a project or be able to do something.
True. True.
Tony
Or
Weiss,
recommend you to a director.
yeah,
That happens a
Tony
lot.
Weiss uh, is a demo producer, and
Okay.
I posted, I said, hey, does anyone know a demo producer? And a bunch of people was like, hey, blah blah blah, and like 4 people is like Tony. Is like, sure, I'll contact Tony.
Yeah.
Tony and I are probably in terms of like best friends. And it's like, I've known you for 6 months or whatever. And I'm like, I feel like I've known
Yeah.
you for years. Uh,
Yeah.
and Tony is a fantastic demo producer, audio engineer.
Wow.
Really, really smart, really, really talented.
Yeah.
I ended up helping him pick out I said, you need to start creating a website for your demos and separate it from your voice acting. So I helped him find
Interesting.
Immerse Productions. He's in the process of building that. And I made him a logo and started making him cards. I said, this is what we could do. And he goes, oh my gosh, that sounds so cool. Then he
Yeah.
contacts me. He goes, hey, I'm rebranding my voice acting. Can you help me build a logo and stuff? So I built him a logo, website, and cards. And then Alex Brody, I kind of threw something together. I said, hey, look what, because I know he's rebranding to be more plaid and beard. So I said, hey, look what I
Okay.
threw together. And he goes, can we talk? Can we work on this? And like literally, it just started going doop 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 doop. So
Yeah. From just that one interaction.
that
And
one
same thing with
interaction.
your website designing, right? Like
Yeah,
starting with just tunnel and it's just started expanding.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that the impression comes way before getting cast or just that basic foundation. It goes so much deeper than that because there's countless times I'd much rather not get cast but leave an impression on the director than
right,
get cast and just never talk to them again, because
right.
that impression could lead to many projects, and not even from the same director. It could, because directors know directors, actors know actors.
Yeah,
So the connection and the I'm blanking on the word, like the impact, I guess, that
yeah.
you make on the director.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
I would say that's like number one,
yeah,
connections and impact.
yeah. And you were saying directors know directors and actors know actors, but then, obviously it's implied, but actors know
Yeah.
directors or actors
Yes.
are directors. So
Right.
if you start becoming friends with this one actor and they know their buddy is about to start a project and go, hey, I know a great actor, I think you should at least give him the opportunity to audition.
That happens way more often
It,
than people think.
it happens very frequently. And then the other
Yeah,
thing is actors are potential directors. Look at Joe. He
that's
is
true.
directing 2
Yeah.
different comic dubs. And if you become friends with him, you might have the opportunity to audition.
Yeah.
Not saying specifically Joe, but I'm using it as an example.
Of course. Of course. Yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, don't put
You
pressure on
never
me.
know.
Don't do that.
No, no, that's true. Like, more that happens so much where, and it's, both ways. Directors become actors, actors become directors.
Mhm.
And just above all, this is also another thing that I like to stress, and that's when you're talking to your fellow actors, but especially directors,
Mhm.
the balance of professionalism and being overly friendly, because we all know the people, or we've all dealt with people who are either way too friendly.
Yep.
They're sending you an email and it's all emojis and
Yeah.
ha-has and LOLs, and it's like,
That's acceptable at a specific time.
right, not when you're introducing yourself,
Yeah.
as an actor
Yeah.
or director or whatever it may be. And then we all know the people.
Professionalism first.
Right, professionalism first. But there are also the people who, when they reach out, they're professional, but then you get to know them and they don't they're just like 100% business. You don't want to be 100% business either.
Yeah.
It's like this balance. Professionalism certainly first, and then you open up. You like this. You start talking and discussing things and talking about your experiences. but you know, when someone sends you lines and you just reply like thank you,
Yeah.
and it's like, and you just never talk to them again,
Yeah.
it can leave a bad impression as well. So
Yeah.
you really have to balance professionalism and being friendly.
A professional friend.
Professional friend, and you notice professional comes first,
Yeah.
but you need to be a friend at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, when you build a rapport, you build a friendship, you build this connection,
Mhm.
eventually you could be a friend professional. Like, eventually it could switch, but
Yeah.
you'll know that time.
It'll become
Obviously,
obvious.
it becomes obvious when you're like, hey, I can be more casual with this person. Obviously, still professional.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't send random emojis that are very
Out of
out
place
of
or
place
out of
or
nowhere. Yeah.
offensive.
Oh, sure.
You
Yeah.
don't never, ever, even with your friends, honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
don't do stuff offensive. Yeah, that's just
No.
it's no. That's a no.
Yeah. And even when you make friends with these people, when it still comes to the professional aspect of your hobbies or your jobs, you
Mhm.
still need to be professional with them.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, Ruka and I are pretty much, I consider her like my best friend in the voiceover
Right.
community. But if I need lines from her,
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey Ruka, when can you send me those lines?
When you're working
never-
with her,
Exactly.
yeah,
Right.
when
Right.
you're working together, you're professional. Obviously,
Yes.
if I send Joe a message saying, "Hey, how's it going?" Sure, we could probably be a little bit more
Absolutely.
casual. But
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
when you're on the working side, then that's when you are professional. Go, oh, I'm so sorry. I meant to do this, instead of being like,
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. Laughing
Yeah.
face. It's like that's there's a time and place, you know.
Yeah.
You can throw those in when we're having a funny conversation, you know.
Yeah.
So you always, even with the best of friends, need to have that professionalism
Yeah.
when the time calls for it.
Now, my sort of branding, I still do the smiley face emojis. And mostly it's just smiley face and
Yeah.
the laughing ones and whatnot. But I like,
Sure.
obviously, I only put them in when they're appropriate.
Yeah.
But that's just my, I don't know, personality, my branding, in the sense, like,
Yeah.
I'm a happy
Yeah.
like, I'm just an upbeat person in general, energetic, to where the only way I'm going to get that in my text for you to understand, like, what my disposition is
Yeah.
I'll throw in a little smiley face.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
I was the same way. Yeah.
yeah,
When I first started, especially, I wasn't like, I do that now, but when I
Yeah.
first started, I think I didn't understand that as much.
Mm.
And then I ended up making a friend who was like, hey, when we first talked, I thought you were fake because of how like every message was an emoji. And that's kind of when
Oh.
it clicked for me. I was like, whoa, this was like a few months after I started.
Right.
I realized, yeah, I can't do that, can I?
Yeah.
I don't want to sound fake. So
Yeah.
a general rule of thumb that I kind of just realized, when I'm emailing something, when you're sending an email, never send emoji. It's when like if it's a professional email or you're asking something of somebody,
Mhm.
I feel like that's an example of a place where
Professional.
that's a more professional setting. Yeah. But if you're like friends on Discord,
Yeah.
you know, you can start to open up a little bit more. But even then, you have to remember to be professional.
It depends
because-
on, and it depends on if you're working on
Yeah.
something or if you're just talking because you're hanging out and you're being
True.
friends.
True.
And obviously, I rarely, and even when I'll put into the working aspect, I rarely would just send an emoji. I will always have,
Oh yeah,
like,
definitely.
I'll always write something out and then maybe throw in a smiley face
Oh yeah. And that's like,
when it's
you
called.
can do that in an email, you know, when it's called for. Yeah. But
Well, like, I just did.
It's
You
not
said don't put one in an email. I just put one in an email because he contacted me. We've been working for a little while, and he goes, "Hey, just wanted to
Okay.
follow up on the lines." I said, "I am so sorry. I got sick." And then it just, I forgot. I'm like, I will
Yeah.
get these to you as soon as possible.
Yeah. It's not like, I think what I meant more by that was when you're starting an email to somebody you don't know,
Yes.
and you're like, hi there, smiley face.
Yeah.
da 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 da, flushing face, laughing face, like no one's gonna read that if they have tons of emails and they're professional and they have no time, you know.
Yeah.
If you're trying to establish something with this person, maybe one at the end if you feel like it could,
it fits.
if it's necessary. Yeah, if it's like a company, no.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody that your friends know, perhaps,
Yeah.
and you've barely, if you interacted a little bit, you know, it's all play by play or case by case.
If it's a
But,
cold email,
yeah.
no. If it's a warm email, it might be you might be able
one at the end.
it
Yeah,
all depends on the rapport, and I think that's kind of the biggest thing is how well do you feel comfortable with that person that you have interacted with before. If you have not interacted, probably don't include an emoji unless you might be able to get away with a smiley face at the end, like you said.
Right.
Otherwise, leave them until later.
Leave them. Yeah, and I want to stress, people don't understand this too. You know, we're talking about this for a long time, and I think it needs a lot of time because it's one of the most common mistakes people make.
Yeah, it is.
When they get started, they think that they can just be like with their friends, you know, emojis and laughing. You know, they think they can bring that into their hobby or their job, and it really is common. You see it more than you think. So watch out for those emojis. Yeah,
I'm also a gift guy. I'll send gifts.
Oh, me too.
Appropriately. I only,
of course.
Like when I'm commenting on something, or this is on Twitter, like if I'm commenting on something, then maybe I'll send like wow or something like that. Like again,
absolutely.
I only do them. I won't do the like ones where I'm like, that's offensive or that's vulgar or anything like that. Like those get pushed aside. Like it has to fit within an acceptable appropriateness.
Yeah, Twitter is the place for to make connections in a friendly way and to have fun. I feel like Twitter is just it's the fun part of connections.
Yeah,
I feel like emailing,
that's where you build your rapport.
Yeah, right. Emails and sending emails, receiving emails, that's more like the, I don't want to say tedious, but that's like the
business side.
The business side of things. Right. Twitter is the friendly, more casual. Yeah, and
Discord's kind of like right in between.
And Discord's in between, right. And the coolest part about Discord too is that you have servers. And typically these servers have a chat for business or, you know, a scripts part, announcements, but then they usually have a chat where you can have fun. Yeah. You know, that's where you send the gifts and the emojis and you have fun talking to the people.
Yep.
Not in, you know, DMs is a bit different and the business chat. So it really is common sense when you think about it. It's not that, but the problem is, like me, people do it without realizing it. So you have to sort of realize it and open your eyes to that first. So gotta watch out for it.
There's the time and the moments and stuff like that. I think I've sent you a couple emojis, but again, appropriately.
Well, and I've sent them too. I guarantee you I've sent them first. You know, I feel like you can read the situation if you've had enough experience. So yeah. It's a
look
fun
at that.
topic.
I'm on our private.
Oh, are you?
The big old fat thumbs up.
Oh, let me see. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm scrolling through here.
Awesome things. And you did the little like scream face when I sent you the creatures.
Oh, well, okay. That was amazing. Can we talk about that? Well, that's because you don't see that many creature demos in the community. Like I'd seen them before, but we're just like, hey, I actually have a demo all about this because we were talking about, you know,
zombies.
The zombies, yeah. I was like, what? This is kind of perfect. Please be undead in my project. Yeah, so that's exactly it. But you notice, I mean, people can't see our chat log, but the first big chunk here, there was two emojis during the whole Sachi thing with Tower of God.
Who was the first one? Was it me or was it you?
It was me. No, it was you.
I was the first one.
Usually it's me, but
I mean,
it was like
down. It's not until much later where and then once and you could see where it starts picking up.
Yes, exactly. We start to learn more about each other. We start to go from the guy who played Sachi to
Yeah.
Christian. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
That's a big
The
distinction.
acceptable and then the professional business
Hmm.
into a friend. Like
Yes.
you could even
Yes.
you scroll through that and you watch the development of
Yeah.
what's acceptable. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I wish we could provide examples, but like it's literally that. It's just
yeah,
you start with, I don't know, 80 90% business, 10% friendly, and you
yeah,
slowly start to transition as you
yeah,
go. Simple as that.
yeah. But you never leave the part where business, especially when you're
No.
working on something, business will still be like 60% business, 40% friendly, or
Yes.
something like
Yes.
that, or
Yeah.
50, maybe
Right.
50-50, but you never have
Yeah.
like 80% friendly, 20%
No. I
when
would,
you're
yeah.
working on something.
Right, right. So despite our friendship, I would never reach out to you and be like, "Hey, all caps, emoji, emoji. Can you voice Sachi again?"
Yeah,
Sweaty
exactly.
face. Because that'd be awesome. Thumbs up. You know, it's like, no,
No,
I'm asking Christian to take the time to let his voice to my project. I'm
yeah.
gonna be professional. You know?
Yeah, exactly. See that? Yeah, exactly. That's the time. Even though we have established this, you would
Yeah,
still, as a professional, be like, "Hey, I have something coming up with Sachi. I was wondering if you'd be interested." Smiley face.
yeah, exactly. That's perfect.
Yes, that
That's
sounds great. I would love
60/40.
to do that.
Yeah.
Exclamation mark. Thumbs up. But
Yes.
again,
Perfect example.
yeah. But
Just do that
that
and you're set.
yeah, that's a very good example of like you wouldn't be like woohoo, boo, 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 and then yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
or something like that. It
Right.
doesn't work.
That's never how it happens. No,
Yeah.
no.
Man,
Yeah.
very good information. So much fun. Is there a project that you are most excited about?
Yes, I would say so. I was recently cast for an upcoming animated short film
Ooh.
called The Heartsmith,
Yes.
which I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but it's based on a comic, actually,
Mhm.
a short story comic, and it's it's like a metaphor of a story that relates to a bigger picture.
Yep.
That's, all I'll say. I was cast as the Heartsmith, so I'm very excited for that. Um, Ika is the one who's the casting director and everything. She's so much fun to work with, and yeah, I can't wait for that to release. It's gonna be a little while still, but
Right.
we're slowly getting sneak peeks of the progress, and we actually, she let us connect with the directors themselves instead of just going through her, so we
Yeah,
can talk with them too.
that's cool.
And yeah, I'm really excited for that. That'd probably be the number one thing, but
That's
it's
exciting.
I have to look
Actually,
at my list to know what else. Yeah.
someone contacted me in regards to doing a comic dub with the Heartsmith.
No way.
Yeah, and I voiced
Wow.
the man.
Yeah, the gentleman, I
Yeah,
think.
the gentleman. So like
Yeah.
that I was cast in that, and then this poster, I was like, what? I was like, is
This
this the
can't be
same
a
thing?
coincidence. Yeah. I know. Yeah, yeah. That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know if he ended up continue because I remember he ended up sending me like the first half of the dub, but
Yeah.
he never finished it, and I don't know if he posted the other half or not. So I was like,
Okay.
uh,
Yeah, those that happens a lot.
yeah,
I feel like that's something that people have to learn to accept too. When I first started in doing the fan dubs and the free
mm,
projects,
mhm.
gosh, maybe 80% of the projects didn't actually happen,
Or
or
they're
or they got
still
like one or two
happening, and you're
episodes.
cast like 2
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago, and they're still like,
right.
yeah, we're doing this. So like, I'm I want to leave.
Yeah, can I go?
I
Um,
committed to this 2 years ago, not today.
yeah, right, right. And they'll reach out to you like 3 years later and say, "Hey, so," it's like, what? This is still a thing?
You have to like look and you're like, what are we? Oh,
Oh,
oh
right.
wow, oh right,
That's a
that's a
thing that
thing.
existed.
You're still doing this?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's something that you have to sort of accept when you first get started, especially. I think it happens.
yeah.
And then you
Especially with
learn
the
to filter
non-paid
projects.
projects. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I find that in non-paid projects, but continue what you're
No,
saying.
exactly that. You learn to filter projects.
Yeah.
So you learn, okay, if there's no capitalization in the title of this casting call, and there's 2 lines of a description, and the audition line is say something you think would fit, this is probably not a good project. That's like the casting call clip default. I don't know why they still keep that, but
Guess what I do when I get those?
what do you do?
Hey, look, there's a sign that says say something that will fit.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, I know people who would audition and then say that.
Yeah. So
Say something that you think would fit.
yeah, I'll say that, or I'll like make the character based on the rest of the lines, and I'll
Sure.
throw in like they're going on an adventure and they see a
Yeah.
sign that says say something that will fit. Oh, look at that. Because I'm like, I'm not going to do the research to figure out what this character is going to say.
No.
You don't give me enough details anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, no. And it means that the actors are all not working from the same source. So I don't know, one actor might do an emotional line, one actor might do a casual line, because there's no context at all. I don't honestly even like it when I don't usually do that much singing stuff, but I see it a lot where they do it for songs too, and for me that's almost worse.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, for songs, people's voices are completely different. Now here's the thing,
right?
I feel if someone's like, for singing, you already know what song you want, you already have it lined up and stuff like that. What I think the benefit would be is, here's the background music, here's the music, the track, and here's the lyrics. Please sing the first 2 verses.
Yes, that's perfect. That's perfect. I mean, if people tell you like this range, baritone or whatever, that's like, okay, that's better than just leaving it completely empty. But I do feel like the more specific you are in your description, this is more like for a directorial, right?
Connection is alive.
We're good.
Enough.
Yeah.
So before we lose you,
Yeah.
where can people go to find more about you and your work?
For sure. So people can find me at my website, jgoffeneyva.com. I basically has resume, contact, testimonials, all that good stuff. You can also shoot me an email at jgoffeneyva@gmail.com if you're interested in hiring me for your project or contacting me with questions. I love answering questions. So if you want me to elaborate on anything that I said, or you need help with something, I'd be more than happy to help you there.
Yes.
I'm also on Twitter, Dr._Bonehead. So that's Dr._Bonehead.
Thank you so much for being on this episode. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I really had a lot of fun. So,
of course. Thanks for listening to Behind the Slate with guest Joe Goffeney. If you liked the episode, please click the subscribe button and click the bell button to stay notified. I look forward to seeing you again.
3, 2, 1. Oh boy, gotta get it perfect.
Other users to know, or other users, wow. I'm talking work.
There's no ulterior motive. Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah, always. I always have an ulterior motive. Oh no, the connection.
Uh-oh. Are we good?
I'm losing Joe.
Joe! My internet.